Hello, AniCod here, and today I thought I'd show you some subliminal hidden areas, hidden rooms, glitches, blueprint locations, all sorts of rubbish, everything I found on an in-depth playthrough. So the first one then, you've got this not so hidden room, probably the least hidden room that we're going to find today. There's not an awful lot in here apart from a drinks machine, and it also triggers the robot woman telling you to turn around and go back as well. So like I said, we haven't really got an option but to go back. There's nothing else you can do in there. It is possible to get on top of this area. Whenever you see a room with a black top and a white bottom, you can actually get up there. There's nothing up here really, apart from you can walk all the way around. I've tried jumping at walls in different areas to see if you can clip through, but you can't. We all know, I mean, we've all seen the speed runs, and it is possible to clip through in a lot of places on this map. So this area then, this is the area where you use the cheese to knock down the walls and you run through. You can actually use the cheese to get across the drop that you normally fall down into your bed. It's normally well hidden. If you've played through it before, which I'm sure you have or you wouldn't be watching this video, then you know that bit very well. So there's nothing in here apart from an unusual blueprint. Now there's a lot of these blueprints knocking around, and I'll show you everyone I found, and they all seem to be different as well. It's just a bit unusual that they'll place this here well out of the way, that there wasn't expecting anyone really to find it that wasn't looking for something. There's nothing else in this room. So the next one I found then is obviously the hidden room up to the left, which you can see there. You can use the block to get up, and you can pick up the chest piece, and the chest piece actually opens up a massive wall, and that's the place you're supposed to go. But obviously you can't actually get up here if you jump up. A lot of people have probably been up here already because it was the first room they would have found without seeing the chest piece. There's not an awful lot up here. There's a bin with loads of chest pieces inside. What I tried to do is shrink the chest piece down and put it inside the bin to see if that does anything, and as you can see now, it does nothing. You just lose your chest piece. So if you want to keep your chest piece, don't do that. There's nothing else what I found in here apart from a little gap next to the bin. So what I tried to do is shrink the block down as far as it could go by pushing it up against a wall. There you go, we can get it even smaller, and you can see the gap there, and what I tried to do is drop it down to see if that does anything. All it does is respawn the block, as you're going to see right now. So where we found the block, it respawns it there and it falls back down again. So it doesn't really do anything. I think it's just a whole part of a glitch. Now you can use this block outside and you can see different areas of the map. I found a couple, but I'm just going to show you one. If you just put it here and look up, you can see the other parts of the map glitching through. I'm not sure what area that is, but again, I thought I'd show you. I just thought I'd show you everything what I found on my playthrough. So there we go. So the next bit then, this is what I like to call the Earth room. I think I'm the only person on the planet that calls it an Earth room. There's just a couple of little neat things with this. You can place the moon anywhere and it stays in orbit, in or out of the room, but if you place the other blocks up, you can actually put any object into orbit where the moon actually was, which is pretty cool. Not a lot of people know that, because obviously when you pull the moon down and you've got the door, you just make the door bigger and walk through it, and that's pretty much it. But I thought I'd hang around and have a play with it, and there you go, pretty cool. What I tried to do is get up through the window, but you can't. There's like an invisible wall there. So the next area then, this is the block that breaks up into a million pieces, but if you keep a block in your hand as you fall down the hole, you'll keep the block in your hand to the next area here, and then you can use this block to get up onto the ledge. Normally you won't be able to get up here because there's nothing else to pick up. So there's not a lot up here apart from another blueprint. Again, very unusual that they put these blueprints in places that people on a normal playthrough wouldn't be able to see. I don't know if they're advertising another game or I'm not sure. So the next little area, you can run up these barriers and jump into like the kitchen area. If you're wondering where this is, the blood on the floor is probably giving it away, and it's right at the end of the nightmare sequence. You can tell by the wall glitch in there that it's not that you're not really supposed to be in this area, but they have, because they're so nice, put a little sap barrier, so you can jump on the sap barrier and get out, so you don't have to mess about trying your hardest to get out, resetting games and all sorts of rubbish. So you can do it with the other side as well, as I'm going to show you. So you run up, nice little jump, very easy to do. If I can do it, anyone who's watching this video can definitely do it, trust me. This one's slightly different. There's actually a door here, but it's still a little bit glitchy. You're not really supposed to be in this area. And to get out, they're very nice, and they've put pallets here this time, so you can run and get out. The idea generator is the one you hit that turns all the lights on in this area. So the next one then. This one, pretty interesting. Now, the old way of doing the button is by dropping loads of these on the floor and then keep hitting them, and it makes like a row of them all the way back to the button. You don't actually have to do that. If you run back here, there's a fire door that you had to take off, which I've shrunk down and conveniently placed in the doorway. Just use the fire door. It saves tons of time and you get the same result. There you go. Perfect. Just a little tip. So the next one then, the Apple room. This was one of my least favourite. Just a quick one with the radio. You can actually change the radio stations. Now, you all know this room, but if you pull the apples towards you, the fan blows them away, so it's a pain in the backside. But if you leave it so just the top of the apple is showing through, and then click it, it'll drop an apple on the button. Nice and easy. You don't have to worry about the fan or anything. You can do it in about 3 seconds flat. And it's the same principle as this. If you have the sign clipping through the floor below, then it'll drop on your side, as you can see here. And if you have it all in view, then it drops on that side. It is quite hard to explain to you, but you've just seen it. So you don't actually have to go through the door. You can go over the top and jump down here, which is unusual, because if you right click on a sign, it resets them all. So you really don't need the area you jump down on, but it's there. So this is the area where you jump through the keyhole down onto the chessboard, and you're a huge and the chessboard is huge. Well, I made myself much bigger by using the doors, and this is the house you normally jump through. The falling physics in this room stays exactly the same, but if you look on top of the clock machine here, there's another blueprint. This is the third one I found. I made myself massive in here, and this is the only thing I found in this room, but as you can see, the falling graphic stays exactly the same. So the next little room then, if you remember in this, you pulled the fire door off. The fire door flew off the wall, smashed into that area. You pick the fire door up, and you're supposed to go through the hole, but if you use the fire door as a ramp, you can actually get into this room. It does take a little bit of wiggling and a little bit of messing about, but if you persevere, you can actually get in, and there you go. Not a lot in here. Working fire extinguisher, couple of bits and bobs, a window that you can't see through. It's just a nice little cool area, and there you go. You don't need the door after that. So the next bit then. Now the room is right up there, and if you drop the stairs on the floor, obviously it completely destroys the floor, so you can't actually get up there. What you're supposed to do is fall down and then go into the lift, but you can actually get into the room up there. There's lots of different ways you can do it. I do it the hard way, but you can literally stand on top of an object, jump and make the object bigger, and you can pretty much elevate yourself up to any area. A little bit of a glitchy way, but it don't really matter. As long as you can find a way to get up there, it's fine. Now I try a lot to do it the old-fashioned way and try and stack objects on top of each other, and as you can see here, I've made chairs massive and ran up the legs of chairs and all sorts of rubbish to try and get up there. If you're wondering what it looks like this. And I'm going to show you exactly what the room looks like, because the next area uses an identical corridor in every way. Now this, there's not an awful lot down here. What you're supposed to do is pick up the cube and it changes the room white and moves on to the next area. You don't actually need to pick up the cube. If you jump on top of it, you can actually jump on top of here and run down the corridor. And this is the exact same corridor as the last one I just showed you, what I took a picture of. Identical in every way. So again, nothing in here apart from just a generic bog standard corridor. Working fire extinguisher, working fire alarm. If you pick the block up, like I said, it turns it into a white room, and then you can use the block to get on top of the, well, on top of the area with the bed. But if you use this block and glitch it through the hole, there's lots of different ways you can do it. If you do half and half, if you pick that block up, it turns it into the next level again, so don't touch the yellow block. But for some reason the developers have left a hole above the door, so we can somehow glitch it through, and I did it by going half and half through the door and picking the dice up, and eventually it pops through, and we can use the dice to get on top of, for some reason, the uncovered bit. If you jump down, you pretty much fall out of the map. You just fall forever. So probably not a good idea to do it unless you want to restart your game or restart your checkpoint. So one of my favourite rooms then, and it's this one. And if you make this doorway nice and big so you can walk through it, you can then place this anywhere you want in any of these rooms and walk through the opposite way, as you're going to see in a minute. I know I'm not making much sense. And it takes you out. So if we walk through here, it takes you out onto the table where we've just been. Some nice music playing from the jungle bit, nice attention to detail. But you can literally place it anywhere. I've had this thing in the bin, in the vending machine, you name it, it's been everywhere. So here I'm going to show you, you can actually put it on the table and run out onto the table, and you can have a look around the computer and the keyboard and all sorts of rubbish. Quite low definition keys on it, but again, there's a place playing music at the other side of the wall. You can put it down and walk through, and you just have fun with it. Have a mess about. If you find something I didn't, then let me know. And that's all I found. So thank you. If I've missed anything, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a like. And that's it from me. I'm going to leave you to the ending because I really like the ending on this game. But this is the end of the video. So brilliant. Cheers guys, and see you next time.
But more often than not, the problem is not that the problems we face can't be solved. The problem is that we become so afraid of failure that we refuse to see our problems from a new perspective. And so we do the same things again and again and again. And therein, of course, we find exactly the failure we were looking for. Your life will always be a struggle, and you will always have problems. But today, you have the chance to see things differently. Even though it meant facing obstacles that seemed impossible at first, you thought outside the box, and you overcame them. Because you saw things from every angle, you understood them for what they really were. Because you kept moving forward, no matter how far off the path you were told you were headed, or how unexpected it became, you found your way. few minutes, you'll be back in the real world, and some part of you will say that none of this was real. So how could it have really meant anything? But just like the power of perspective itself, it will have been as real as you believed it to be. All you've got to do is wake up.